has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and who, when they have chastened him, will not heed, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city, to the gate of his city, and they shall say to the elders of his city, this son of ours is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all of the men of this city shall stone him to death with stones. So you shall put away the evil from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Interestingly enough, according to the sages, that law there was never a stoning of a young man by his parents turning him in or turning him over to the authorities. And so one would wonder why, what? Oh. Okay. Yeah. Daniel, we'll pray for you after service. So I've wondered before, what meaneth this? Why is this particular verse in here if it was one that never was enforced, it never happened in all of Israel for thousands of years? And the only answer and conclusion that I could come with is everything that Moshe wrote was to reveal Messiah to us and to teach us how to live. We are the rebellious son. We have been the prodigal son who has gone off and wallowed in the mud, eaten with the pigs. We've done, you name it, we've done it. But our Father didn't turn us in for death, but provided a way out for us. Yeshua referred to this, I believe, in Luke 7:33 through 35. He says, "For John the Baptist came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say he has a demon. The Son of Man has come eating and drinking, and you say, look, a glutton and a winebibber, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is justified by all her children." Isn't that a strange statement after saying that? But wisdom is justified by all of her children. Here what they were accusing Yeshua of was being the rebellious son, worthy of death. And what he's saying is, even if he hadn't ate and drank, they accused John the Baptist, John the Immerser, of having a demon. So the lesson I learned from that is, you're not going to please everybody. You're not. So to be children of wisdom, we are justified in the fact that Messiah became the rebellious son for us. He paid the penalty of rebellion for you and I so that we could receive redemption. And if we're wise, we will understand that. We will be children of wisdom. And that is what I believe he was referring to when he said that particular verse. Now, if we go back, notice what in Deuteronomy 21:22 through 22:1 says. If a man has committed a sin deserving of death, and he is put to death, and you hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain overnight on the tree, but you shall surely bury him that day, so that you do not defile the land which the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. For he who is hanged is accursed of God. if we go to Galatians 3:13 through 15. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree, that the blessing of Abraham might come upon the Gentiles in Yeshua, in Christ Jesus, our Messiah, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Now, what does it mean when it says Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law? In Christian mindset, a lot of people read that as the law is cursed. But that's not what it says. He redeemed us from the curse of the law. What is the curse of the law? When you break the law, you're worthy of death. Death. So he paid that for us. We are all worthy of death. Every one of us has been a rebellious son. Every one of us has turned from God in one way or another at some point in our life and refused to listen or refuse to hear what the Father says to us and instructs us how to walk. But because he was willing, because he loved us, he was willing to become that punishment for us so that we never have to receive what rightfully belongs to us, which is death. In John 1:45, Philip found Nathanael and said unto him, we have found him of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Yeshua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. So when we read the law, we are reading Messiah. When we understand the law of God that doesn't change, that is the same yesterday, today, and forever, when we understand that the Messiah is the living flesh, the word, the law that became flesh, and in him is everything. In him is all instruction. In him is all wisdom. In him is all understanding. Moses wrote about him. The prophets wrote about him. Every word of the Torah is him. He is the Torah. In John it says, he was the Word, and the Word became flesh, and the Word lived among men. Translated, he was the law, and the law became flesh, and the law lived among men. What a beautiful concept. See, now, when you liken that to someone who has had a reprieve from the governor that has committed murder and has had the death sentence of a judge given to them, and a governor or a head of state decides that he's going to give you a reprieve from that sentence, does that give you the right then to go and break laws? No, you should come away from that grateful that I escaped what was due to me. And in the same way with Messiah, we need to be so grateful every single day that we escaped what was due to us. And so because we've escaped, doesn't give us the right to break his commandments. To the contrary, if we love him, he said we would keep his commandments. In John 5:45 through 47, do not think that I shall accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you, Moses, in whom you trust. For if you believed Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? So how could you? Because he is those writings. He is those words. So when we read Moses, we're reading Messiah in every sense of the word. And what is it that we don't understand about don't think that I came to abolish the law? but I came to abolish the law. No, he's not schizophrenic. He said, don't even think. Don't think that way. But we have an adversary that accuses us day and night. We have an adversary that does not want to see his children, God's children, become the bride. We condemn ourselves when we break the law. It's not that Yeshua's standing up near the throne of the Father and saying, oh my gosh, did you see what Tom did this week? Oh, man, I never thought he'd do that. I'm saying Tom because he's so innocent. Look at him. Doesn't he look like have that little angelic smile over there? He's so innocent. Yeshua's not accusing us. And what did we read about the son that was a true rebellious son? The father and mother have to bring the accusations forth. He's not. We accuse ourselves. By our own words, we're condemned. By our own actions, we're either condemned or acquitted. By how we live. By how we live. Not because God is condemning us. We condemn ourselves. We have an accuser that accuses us day and night, but that's not what this is saying here. And notice this. I thought this was Deuteronomy to me is just the greatest love story of all. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep going astray and hide yourself from them. You shall certainly bring them back to your brother, and if your brother is not near you, or if you do not know him, then you shall bring it to your own house, and it shall remain with you until your brother seeks it. Then you shall restore it to him. You shall do the same with his donkey, and so you shall do with his garment, and with any lost thing of your brother's, which he has lost, and you have found, you shall likewise do. You must not hide yourself. There was someone who said, am I my brother's keeper? Right? Anybody remember who that was? Cain. But Torah says we are our brother's keeper. We have to look out for their possessions as much as we look out for our own. We're not to steal, to cheat, or to rob. We have a perfect example demonstrated this morning of a father's love for his children when the men gathered around the women and the children as a wall of protection. But we also have the obligation, because we're made in his image, to do the same for each other. Is that beautiful? Yes. It's so quiet in here. But I know it's because, I was thinking this morning, this has been a month of Teshuva. We've all been praying above and beyond probably what we normally do and seeking God. And look what he's doing. Already, he's changing our house. This is our house. Our house needs to be changed. It needs to be cleaned. Our physical houses, we don't go forever without cleaning them. Why should we not take inventory of our lives and clean? If a bird's nest, this is in Deuteronomy 22, 6 and 7. You're going to see I'm going somewhere with all this. If a bird's nest happens to be before you along the way in any tree or on the ground with young ones or eggs, with the mother sitting on the young or on the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. You shall surely let the mother go and take the young for yourself, that it may be well with you and that you may prolong your days. Did you notice that? Taking care of the mother bird will prolong your days, the same benefit as honoring your mother and your father? Sages have asked for centuries, what meaneth this? This is considered one of the least of all the commandments. And yet it is, I believe, the most profound. I copied this from a commentary when I was studying. The identical reward for honoring parents and for shooing the mother bird before taking her young may serve as a clue to a principle which applies to every word spoken in the Torah. Kala ke ha murah, meaning that each precept and or word, whether insubstantial or weighty, is to be treated equally. Thus, all the way from the weightiest precept to the least esteemed, through those that are in between, obedience is equally required, with the result of doing so being the same. Interesting. I never realized that before. But I really believe, too, that Messiah, being the Word that he is, was giving us another message that he clarified in Matthew 10:29 through 31. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. We serve a God that even cares about little birds, and said that if we would be kind to the mother and spare her, just like our Father has spared the church, has spared his congregation of people, his messianic community through the ages. He spared us because we are worth more to him. We are worth so much to him. If he wrote a commandment regarding a bird, how much more so, Messiah was saying, do you have anything to fear? He loves us. Do we get that? He loves us. Even the hairs on our head. Now, granted, it may take him longer with some people than others. Not calling anybody out. But he loves us that much. You know, when my kids were babies, you know, do you remember when your children, those of you who have children, do you remember when they were infants, when they were babies? And you're cuddling them, and you're counting their toes, and you're looking at every little thing they do, and every little breath they take is just, oh, it's so cute, cute, cute. You know, but you know, I never sat there and counted the hairs on their head. Just think about that for a minute. As adorable as I thought they were, and how much I loved them, I didn't take the time to know that much about them. But he does us. Amazing. Amazing. What an amazing love. And I'm dwelling here and I'm parking here for a little bit because I want us to really get that concept and understand it. From Genesis to Revelation, it's about a bride and a husband. It's about a bride who's unfaithful, children that are rebellious, and a father that loves them anyway. And a husband that is willing to take back his unfaithful bride and clothe her in white. If any man takes a wife, in Deuteronomy 22:13 through 18, if any man takes a wife and goes into her and detests her and charges her with shameful conduct and brings a bad name on her and says, I took this woman when I came to her, I found she was not a virgin, Then the father and mother of the young woman shall take and bring out the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city gate. Now listen. And the young woman's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as wife, and he detests her. Now he has charged her with shameful conduct, saying, I found your daughter was not a virgin, and yet these are the evidences of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. What is the evidence that she's a virgin? The blood. The same evidence that the father shows the accuser, your accuser, the blood. The blood of Yeshua, the blood of our Savior, has made us whole. It's the blood. It's not our righteousness. Our righteousness is compared to menstrual rags. Right? But his blood is pure. His blood has not been tainted in any way with any sin. There was none found in him. And in that blood, we are declared righteous and clean, as if we are virgins in his sight, undefiled in any way. Revelation 12:10 and 11. Then I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come, for the accuser of our brethren, who accused them before our God day and night. He has been cast down, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death. It says it all. If we're looking out for our lives now, we're going to lose them anyway. But if we will give up our lives for the sake of the groom, for the sake of one another, for the sake of the bride, it's our testimony in the blood. It's our testimony in the blood. What's our testimony? Do people look at us and say, wow, they're a living, walking example. They're a walking testimony of the goodness of God. They're a walking, living testimony of the love of God. We should be a walking, living testimony of Yeshua, our King, our Redeemer, the one who gave his life for his wife. He laid down his life for the bride. He did what the first Adam didn't do. He did it all. We can't take it lightly. And I'm sorry if it seems kind of heavy in here, and it does. But it's heaviness of just pure awe of him. It's a heaviness of the love of God. It's weighty. It's weighty. Because it's honorable. He died so that we could be honored. We get to go to the biggest party this universe has ever seen. Yeehaw! And he says that those that endure to the end will be saved. That means we've got some enduring to do. But it's not impossible when we have a Redeemer and a husband that when we fail, has taken the rap for us from what we deserve. Every day, I love him more. Every Torah portion, every study I do, I love him more. And I know you guys do too. He is so incredibly awesome. He is so incredibly wonderful. How can we not worship him and love him with everything that's within us, with our whole heart, our whole life, our whole being? It's the reason we exist. It's the reason we were born for such a time as this. To live out a life that mirrors the Messiah on earth. It's our calling. It's our calling. And it's not easy. It's not. But it's so worth it. Just to be in his presence right now, it's worth it. Can you imagine when we're in the gates of the city? Whoo! Yes! Just think. Yeah, you can give him a hand. Come on. We should be the happiest people on the planet. We should be the most joyful people on the planet. We should be the most excited people on the planet. You know, so many Christians, they walk around, they look like they got their face sucked through a pipe or something, you know, and you're suffering for Jesus, you know. Well, yeah, we all suffer. But we're suffering for someone who has suffered more for us that we could have joy and life. He came that we would have life and have it abundantly. So enjoy it. Enjoy his love. Enjoy what he's done for us. And be the light that he's called us to be.